I've seen so many experiences, and unfortunately, that triggered something into my head that I just want to point out that another huge issue in the community is pornography. And it's not something you can just tell somebody to fast and it'll work itself out. It's not. It's not something. And when they hear that and they're fasting and they're trying and it's not working itself out and it's an addiction, they really need to see a therapist. And I've seen it way too many times that it's like, don't worry, like, you just need to fast or get yourself married. You know what? If they have an addiction to pornography and they get themselves married, that's going to be even more of a problem.
Yeah.
Girl.
It gets worse.
It's not fair. That's for them.
At what point with pornography, at what point do you think that someone should get counseling, say, kids in high school, girls or boys, if you know that
They're viewing
it?
Viewing it is different than like this. The addiction comes from like, if I were to say like, okay, I have my client and I said to him, okay, ready? This is what your assignment is this week. I want you to go get a lock, the blocking system from Best Buy and install it onto your computer so that you can't view pornographic sites. Okay? If he does that and he stops viewing it because he was able to go to Best Buy and do all that, he's most likely not addicted to pornography because he can deal with. He could not. It was years that I was suggesting this one little task. He wouldn't do it because he's like, I can't not have that. Like, what if I need to? What if I need to watch and I'm not able to get to it? And he's like, and I go to the library and you can't view it there. So I'm like, okay, so then something else is happening. It's not just about blocking it from your computer or parental controls or they can't go a day without it. And obviously it has a lot to. I mean, there's so many issues involving pornography. That's like a whole other. I could do a whole.
I'm just thinking like, because I discussed it with some high schoolers. Like on my part, no one's going to tell me that they're addicted to it, right? Yeah. But I mean, is it okay to advise them all the other things that you said, like try fasting,
Yeah, you should advise them. I'm not saying not to advise them to do that, but I'm not saying. But if they're coming back to you over and over again, you're like, well, are you fasting?
Yeah.
And did you try doing this? And it's a little bit more than that. An addiction is something that you can't just say like, oh, throw out all the beer in your house, because they're gonna go buy more. Like it's not something that you can just stop by simply saying, stop and don't do it, or it's haram. Don't you know that it's haram? I mean, this is, the guy that I was speaking to, this is like, no one would imagine this guy had an issue. He was in the masjid every single day, all the prayers. PM, and this, and that, and I mean, and then he's telling me like, I want to get married. I'm like, no, you're not getting married anytime soon. You need to fix this before you get married. And, he's saying, well, the sheikh said to me that if I had an issue with this, that I should go get married. He said, well, I'll talk to the sheikh together, you and I, and we'll discuss this. It's really, really, really serious. Because, like, obviously distorted images and then, he's married, and this is not what I expected, and then there's divorce, and it's crazy. So.
Now it's kind of crossing gender lines even a little bit.
Where you mean females are viewing? Yeah, I mean, they want to know what this guy wants. What are these guys like? What do they want from me?
It's a different type of. It's not addiction. It's more of like trying to fulfill something else.
Yeah, it's just distorted thinking as well. Like, but it's definitely unfortunate. It's on the uproar, and like Zayd Shakir and Hamza Yusuf talk a lot about it. And they have very, very, very interesting views about it. And then there's, I can't remember the book, I have it in my other notebook. There's great books about like addictions and things like that that are, helpful. If you feel like this person just totally gets it and you're really willing to help, you give them a lot of these pointers because a lot of them won't see a counselor for something like that because they feel like it's too humiliating. Especially me, because I'm female. It's very hard for a guy to talk to me about that. But I'm used to talking to them, like, I have to talk to a couple about their intimate life, so it's not something, it's professional, but they don't see it that way. It's really hard for them.
But where is the line between Islamically, Yeah, what you can talk about, what you can't. So Islamically, it's considered, you're not supposed to be talking about intimacy with somebody.
But if you're doing it for the benefit of improving your marriage, because your marriage is on, like, if I have to ask them, tell me specifically how many times you're sleeping with your wife.
Right.
I'm not asking because I'm curious. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that, like, I don't see any boundaries, even if I have to ask specifics. Allah Alam, I mean, the Sheikh's on board with me about this. I've spoken to him about this stuff because I want to make sure that I'm in the right zone.
Right, that's
So
what I'm saying. How do you know you're in the right?
because you have to, if you're doing it to help, guide somebody towards improving their marriage, then you have to know. Like, I'm not talking about going on Al Jazeera and talking about it as that, like, that Egyptian woman, that sex therapist is on, and talking about that stuff on, and talking about, like, what needs to get done. It's very different. It's talking to them about, like, how things need to improve in their marital life. And a lot of the times, it's one of the first things I bring up in couples counseling. And sometimes they're, like, shocked that I'm even talking about it. I'm like, hey, this is one of the main issues in marriages. You have to talk about it.
There's a hadith that specifically, a man came to the Prophet addressing a specific intimate issue with his wife when they were into Medina. It's like very specific. And openly asked.
He was a counselor. Like, in addition to everything that he did, he was a counselor. And, you're just following in his footsteps. If you're just trying to, if your intentions are pure, and you're not doing it because you really want to know what this person is doing behind closed doors. I mean, same thing as pornography. If I'm asking him exactly what kind of pornography are you viewing, and exactly, I'm asking because I need to know if it's fixation with certain things, and if he's a pedophile. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to ask certain things in order to know. I'm sure there's extremes. I've never experienced it for myself. I've never felt like I've crossed the line. And if I did feel anything like that, I would talk to the Sheikh because I want to make sure that I'm in, like I said, like that safe zone. But Sheikh's usually on board. He's really open-minded. MashaAllah, Sheikh Hatanani is amazing with this stuff because he's so open to counseling, and there's so many Sheikh that aren't. And he's so open to the idea of, like, he and I discussed talking about anybody that was going to come to him to do a kitab or a nikah would have to go through premarital counseling first. And I think that is a fantastic idea. But, it wasn't necessarily, it was hard because, like, I'm not going to see everybody that needs to get married, in addition to everybody else that I was already seeing. So, but he's really open to so many different things. And he's willing to come in, Mohammed Al-Fanani, fantastic to have a session with you. Converts have a lot of issues. I was thinking about, because I talked to him a lot about convert issues because he speaks so many languages. And they have a lot of issues with, like, the way that they're welcomed into the community and the way their family responds to them. I did a convert support group a couple years back that was just fantastic, very successful. And they all still hang out, which is great. But they have a lot of issues too. So I don't know if any of you guys have converts in your, and they're dealing a lot with, like, their past issues in their lives, about, like, things that they've done that they can't get over because, even though I'm a baby now because I've converted or I've done Hajj or whatever it is, I still feel like a lot of guilt over things that I've done in my past. It's a lot of, it's everywhere. There's so many issues. I feel like I can't even know where to begin. So, if there's more issues, if you guys have more to discuss and there is time for me to come in, I'm more than happy just to come in for a question answer. If you want me to specifically talk about something that crossed your mind after you left here and you're like, I want to hear more about anxiety and, marital issues, I come in and just discuss that stuff. If not, I'm sure everybody has my email. It's on, like, the list. My phone number, if it's something that needs to be talked about in depth, I'm more than happy to discuss anything that we need to talk about.
Thank you very, very much, inshallah. That was very, very helpful.